Hi everyone, it's Ian here from Crack Maths and welcome to tutorial 46 on how to work out the perimeter of compound shapes. Okay, first things first, the perimeter refers to the distance around any shape, okay? So if I wanted the perimeter of this rectangle, what I'd be looking at is I'd be looking at the distance around that rectangle. So as this rectangle has sides 6 and 3, that would be 6 centimetres for this first side, plus 3 centimetres for the second side, plus 6 centimetres for the third side, plus 3 centimetres for the last side. So all in all, this would have a perimeter of 18 centimetres. Just to remind you, perimeters are lengths, okay? So perimeters are distances that you walk or travel or whatever they are, but they are basically just the length, because if you think about the corners of a rectangle, if I snapped all of these corners, okay, and put them all in a straight line, we would just have a length which we would measure with a ruler or just add up in your regular fashion. So you never need to really do any multiplying or dividing for perimeters. Okay, the other thing we need to know is that the circumference of a circle is also known as the perimeter of the circle. So we are going to need to remember the formula for the circumference of the circle. So have a quick think in your head to see if you can remember it. Okay, hopefully you remembered that it was pi times diameter, or 3.14 times diameter, or pi times the radius times 2, or 3.14 times the radius times 2. Hopefully you remembered one of those. So the circumference is just a perimeter, but it's the perimeter of a circle. If you do need more work on the circumference of the circle, you can go back to tutorial 43 and there's loads of examples and practice on that there. Okay, so the best way for us to get better at this is by practice. So let's have a look at our first question. So on the board, you'll see practice question 1. This shape is a very common shape. We see it all the time. It's the running track shape. And it is essentially a rectangle with 2 semicircles on the end. But let me read the question first, because the question is going to describe the shape, and it's important to be able to read descriptions of shapes. Question 1 says, a shape is made of a rectangle with length 8 centimetres and width 6 centimetres. On each of the 6 centimetre sides, there is a semicircle. What is the total perimeter of the shape? Okay, so first things first, what we need to do is we need to kind of highlight all the lines that we're going to want to work out. So we know we're going to want to know the length of these 2 straight lines, and we can actually identify them already from the question. We know that the length of those lines is 8 centimetres. So I'm just going to put an 8 by both of those. So 8 at the top and 8 at the bottom. So they are going to be part of our perimeter. Now, the next bits of the perimeter of this shape are the 2 curved semicircles at the ends. Now, semicircle means half circle, okay? So if I have 2 semicircles, that means I have a full circle. So I'm just going to draw a full circle over here, just because actually that's what we want. We want the length of this full circle, and we want those 2 8 centimetre lines. Now, it says that the width of the rectangle is 6 centimetres. So that means that the diameter of this circle is 6 centimetres. Okay, so if the diameter of the circle is 6 centimetres, we can use our formula for the circumference of circles, and that is pi times diameter, or 3.14 times diameter. So I can do 6 centimetres multiplied by 3.14. So 6 times 3.14 equals 18.42 centimetres. So now I know the distance around the circle, and I know the 2 lengths as well. So to get the total perimeter of this shape, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do 8, add 8, add 18.42. I'm going to use my calculator for that. So we've got 8 plus 8 plus 18.42. And that equals 34.42 centimetres. Now, it's important to remember the measurement is centimetres. It is just a length, okay? The perimeter is a length. We never want anything else attached to the units for perimeter. Okay, let's have a look at question 2. Here we go. Here is practice question 2, and we can see already, we can see the shape there. So it's this classic L shape, but Let's read through the questions to see which dimensions we can add to the shape. So the question says, a shape is made of a rectangle with length 6 metres and width 4 metres. On the 6 metre side, to the right of the rectangle, there is a rectangle with length 5 metres and width 3 metres. What is the total perimeter of the shape? Okay, so let's have a look at some of this information here. So we've got a first rectangle, and it's got a width of 4 and a length of 6. And then we're told that there's a second rectangle with a length of 5 and a width of 3. We're told that it's attached to the other rectangle on the 6 centimetre side, okay? So that's the longer side of that rectangle. So let's put on this 4 here, and let's put on 6 metres here. Okay, now I know this other rectangle is at the side. We can't ever assume these diagrams are drawn to scale, but we can kind of see with this one that the longer side is going to be the 5 metres and the shorter side is the 3 metres. And it says that there. Okay, so it's got length 5 and width 3. Width usually refers to the shorter side. So here we go. I can see that on my diagram now I've got 4 metres and 6 metres labelled here, and then 5 metres and 3 metres labelled here. Now, I need to work out the perimeter of this shape. So it's quite straightforward. I've got all the lines already. But the best thing to do for this is to just pick a corner and head around. So I'm going to start at this corner here, and I'm going to go anti-clockwise. It really doesn't matter which way you go. I'm going to go anti-clockwise. So I've got 4 metres, add 6 metres, add 4 metres, add 5 metres, add 3 metres, add 5 metres. Ah, right. And now I need to identify how long this bit is. Well, I can see that if this full length is 6 metres and the rectangle that's joined to it has a width of 3 metres, that means that there is going to be 3 metres left on that side, which is uncovered. Which is uncovered really, which is part of the perimeter. Okay, so I know that I've got to then add another 3 metres to the perimeter. And now we can just add all of these numbers together. So I've got 4, add 6, add 4, add 5, add 3, add 5, add 3, and that equals 30 metres. So I know that the perimeter of this shape will be 30 metres. Okay, great. Let's look at another example. Here we go. We've got another shape. This time it looks like it's made up of a triangle and a semicircle. But before we begin, let's just quickly read through the question. So here we go. We've got a shape is made of an isosceles triangle with lengths 10 centimetres, 10 centimetres and 3 centimetres. On the 3 centimetre side, there is a semicircle. What is the total perimeter of the shape? Okay, so we can see here on this triangle which two sides are the same length. We can see that, so I'll label these ones here 10 and 10. And also this ties in because it says the 3 centimetre side is the one with the semicircle. So I'm just going to make a note of 3 centimetres here. Isosceles triangles, the word isosceles refers to a triangle with two sides the same length. Okay, so that's why this is an isosceles triangle, because two of its sides are 10 centimetres. We can clearly see that we've got 10 and 10 on the perimeter. So we know that the straight edges of the perimeter are going to add up to 20. So I'm just going to write that information at the side, and then I'm going to focus on the circle. So now this time, we have got a semicircle. We've only got one semicircle, so we don't have a whole circle. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to work out a whole circle and then half it, because the whole circle would give us all the way round, but we only want to go half the way around the semicircle. It's got a diameter of 3, so I know that the circumference of this circle is going to be pi times diameter, which is going to be 3.14 times 3. Okay, so if I've got 3.14 times 3, I'm going to do that on my calculator, and that equals 9.42. So we know that the circumference of the whole circle would be 9.42, but we only want to go half the way round. So I'm then going to have to half that, which means I'm going to have to divide 9.42 by 2. So 9.42 divided by 2 equals 4.71. Okay, so now we can bank that number as well. So, if I now want to work out the whole perimeter, I know that I've got the straight edges, which add up to 20. I've got the curved edges, which add up to 4.71. So I'm simply going to do 20 add 4.71, which will equal 24.71 centimetres. So that's the practice questions done now. And if you want to get some more practice of some of them, you can quickly pop over to crackmaths.co.uk. Otherwise, if you want to see the questions in context, stay with me now and we're going to go through some scenario questions. Okay, so here we have scenario question 1. So question 1 says, a garden consists of a square with side length 4 metres and semicircles of diameter 4 metres attached to each of its sides. Find the total perimeter of the garden. Right, okay, so we can see from that description that in the centre of this shape there is a square. We know that the side lengths of the square are 4 metres, and we also know that those 4 metres represent the diameter of these circles, well, of these semicircles. I'm going to just take my pen round and think about this journey that we're going to take to get around this garden. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to do this bit of semicircle here, this bit of semicircle here, this bit of semicircle here, and this bit of semicircle here. So effectively we are just covering 4 semicircles. There's no straight edges in this perimeter. Remember, the perimeter is just around the outside, so we only want the lines around the outside. So the perimeter of this shape is just the curved bits around the outside. So if we have 4 semicircles, I know that that makes 2 circles, okay? So 2 circles of diameter 4 metres. So I'm going to draw that circle. It's the same circle anyway. So I'm just going to draw one of those circles down here, and I'm going to give it a diameter of 4 metres, and we can calculate the circumference of this. So remember, the circumference of the circle is pi times diameter, which is 3.14 times 4 in this case. So 3.14 times 4, I'm just going to get my calculator, and that equals 12.56. So we know that one circle has a circumference of 12.56. So if we times that by 2, we'll know that 2 circles will have a circumference of 25.12 metres. So we know the perimeter of this shape is going to be 25.12 metres. Okay, now I'm calling that the perimeter because now that they've been put together, it is the perimeter again. Okay, when it's on the circle, it's the circumference, and then when it's on the shape like that, it's the perimeter. Okay, let's have a look at one more question before we go, because I want to have a look at this question because it looks a little bit different. Okay, so here we go. You can see the shape for question 2. It's a rectangle, and this time the circle has been inverted, so it's a semicircle going into it. Now, the thing about this is, I'll read the description in a moment, but the thing about this that you have to remember is perimeters are different to areas, okay? Just because that line has gone into the shape, it doesn't stop it being just as long as it would have been if it was going out of the shape. So to get the perimeter of this bathroom floor, it's still going to be a case of that semicircle and then the 3 straight lengths. But before I get ahead of myself, let's read the question. So the question says, a bathroom floor is in the shape of a rectangle with dimensions 6 feet and 8 feet. There is a semicircular bathtub with a radius of 3 feet cut out of the 6-foot side. Calculate the perimeter of the bathroom floor. Okay, so before we get started on the semicircle, let's just add up the sides. So first of all, we've got 8 add 8 add 6, which makes 16 add 6, which makes 22 feet. So I'm just going to write 22 feet over in the corner here, just to remember that we've got that. Now with the circle, it's a semicircle this time, so it's going to be half of a circle. The radius is 3 metres. Now remember, the radius is half the diameter, so that means the diameter is 6 metres. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to draw a circle with a diameter of 6 metres. Okay, so this is if the semicircle is a whole circle. So what we can now do is we can work out the circumference of this circle using pi times diameter. So 3.14 multiplied by our diameter, which is 3.14 multiplied by 6. I'm going to do that on the calculator. 3.14 times 6 equals 18.84. Now, if we divide that by 2, we get 9.42. So that curved bit of line that goes by the bathtub is going to be 9.42 feet. Okay, now we've got that, we can tie that in with our straight sides. So our straight sides earlier added up to 22 feet, and our curved side is 9.42 feet. So 22 feet plus 9.42 feet is going to give us 31.42 feet. Okay, great. And that ties up that tutorial on perimeter of compound shapes. So remember, in order to master this topic, you really just need to remember the formula for the circumference of a circle. The straight line bits is pretty straightforward, but the hard bit is remembering the circumference of the circle and how much of that circle you're going to need. Right, okay, I will say goodbye there, and if you need any more practice, remember this was tutorial 46. Otherwise, I will catch you in a different tutorial. So long.